All right, Mr. Callahan, we are live.
Okay, thank you so much, Corey. Okay, I'd like to welcome everyone tonight to the community development portion of the meeting tonight. Just for reference, this is March 29th, 2021. We have 5 items on the agenda for tonight. And the first one will be the approval of the regular CD meeting minutes of March 8th, 2021. Can I get a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Sarah, seconded by Mrs. Mitchell.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, nay. Motion carried.
My monitor isn't on.
Consenting button.
Item 2 is the matter of a request for a final plat for Phase 1 of River Run Landing Subdivision off Middle Avenue. This is referred to by Richard Barron of RBR Development LLC. Mr. Barron, if you're on, did you want to say anything?
Sure. Yes, we are requesting the approval of Phase 1, which is 41 single-family lots. River Run will have a total of 130 lots when it is completed. It's on Middle Avenue, just south of Colonial Oaks Mobile Home Park, on the east side of the road. This
Okay.
land was annexed last fall into the city.
Thank you, Mr. Barron. And I should have asked you in the beginning if you could just please state your full name for the record and address for the record.
Okay, it's Richard Barron, 27201 Royalton Road, Columbia Station, Ohio, 44028.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Okay, looking to see if there's any questions from anyone on the committee. Anyone on the panel? Okay, I see a hand up and I cannot quite tell who that is.
Mr. Oswald,
Mr. Oswald, go right ahead, sir.
I just had a question. I'm assuming it's gone through planning commission. Do they have any negativities towards this?
I guess I can answer that. No, there are some items that we'll discuss when the committee report is being read. If anybody else wants to have a discussion about that in regards to that before I do read the committee report, maybe Mayor Whitfield may want to chime in on that.
Yep. Thank you, Chair, and good evening, everyone. So yeah, there was only planning commission. It was very simple. This is stuff that they've done in the past that we, are in support of. The 3 issues we brought up were, it said Carlisle Township instead of Illyria on the documentation. We wanted that changed. We wanted a utility easement on Middle Avenue, which they didn't have a problem with that. And they needed to submit new plat drawing, I believe, which I believe they've done. So I think that the concerns we had, none of them were major.
Well, thank you. I just, through you, Mr. Chair, just wanted to mention that, it's nice to see something going on towards the end of Illyria on that side, which I know we got a few other projects going. So I think this is a definite plus, and I hope everything goes good for you guys. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome. Thank you, Mr. Oswald. Are there any other questions or comments? Okay, I am not seeing any. So I will go right ahead and read the committee report, which will have everything in there that Mayor Whitfield had referred to just a couple moments ago. We have considered the matter of the final plat for Phase 1 of River Run Landing Subdivision. This is an ordinance authorizing the approval of the final plat for the said subdivision. This was approved by Planning Commission on March 11th, 2021. The approval is contingent on utility easements along Middle Avenue. Second, adding certain changing language to say Phase 1. And third, to state that this is for the city of Illyria, not Carlisle Township. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by, couldn't quite,
Jesse.
Jesse. Okay, I'm sorry. A motion made by Mr. Jesse, seconded by Mrs. Mitchell.
Call for the question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Mr. Barron.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We'll go to full council 1 week from tonight.
Okay.
Okay, next item is the matter of a request for a new liquor license submitted by Riser Foods Company doing business as Get Go, 559 Midway Boulevard, Illyria.
Why you're not helping?
This would be a permit class D1. I was notified this afternoon by Safety Service Director Brubaker that with his conversations with Chief Whiteley, there are no issues in regards to this location.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mrs. Mitchell.
this is the new Get Go over by the mall?
Correct. That is exactly right. On Midway Boulevard.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Are there any other questions? Seeing none, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm no, seeing no other questions, I would accept a motion.
Mr. Chairman, seeing no other questions or objections, I'll make a motion that the city does not request a hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mrs. Mitchell and seconded by Mr. Sarah.
Question?
Question on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay, item 4 is the matter of a request for a new liquor license submitted by Reuben's Deli and Restaurant Incorporated, doing business as Reuben's Restaurant, 312 Chestnut Commons Drive, Illyria. This would be for a permit class D1, D2, and D6. Again, I had a conversation this afternoon with Safety Service Director Brubaker. His conversations were with Police Chief Whiteley that there were no issues in regards to this location. Are there any other questions? If there are no
Mr. Chairman.
questions, yes, Mrs. Mitchell.
Seeing no questions or objections, I'll make a motion that the city does not request a hearing.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mrs. Mitchell, seconded by Mr. Sarah.
Why is it the most?
Question?
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Okay. Item 5 is the matter of a request for a liquor license transfer submitted by Raymond W. Burgett to be transferred to H&H Market and Deli LLC, doing business as Corner Store at 616 Prospect Street in Illyria. Again, had a conversation with Safety Service Director Brubaker this afternoon. He had spoke to Chief Whiteley. There are no issues in regards to this location. Do I have any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mrs. Mitchell.
exactly where is this at? 616 Prospect, where is that at?
Okay, good question. It is at the corner of Prospect and Harvard Avenue in Illyria. That'd be the 500 block of Harvard Avenue.
Okay.
It's a little neighborhood store that's been there for probably close to 60 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Through you, Mr. Chair.
yes, Mr. Oswald.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I see that because I believe Ray has owned, Ray Burgett, he's owned his property for a long time. So can you fill me in as why it's transferred, or is it just going into a different business name, or don't we need to know that?
Oh, no, I can certainly shed some light on that, Mr. Oswald. That's a good question. Ray Ray Burgett has made a personal decision to sell the business. He's done it he's owned the business for several decades. He just felt it was time for him to move on. There was a new buyer that wanted it, and they are doing well, carrying on the tradition there. So Mr. Burgett has decided to take it easy for a while.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, you're welcome, Mr. House. Any other questions? Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Okay, moved by Mr. Could you please state whether the city does or does not request a hearing?
Move that the city does not request a hearing. Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Jesse, seconded by Mr. Sarah. Can I get a question on the motion?
Question on the motion.
Question on the motion. All those in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
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 All opposed, nay. Motion carried.
Sorry. I'm a thorn in your side tonight.
No, never.
Okay, at this time, I see no further business for community development. So that being said, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Mitchell.
Can somebody
Can I get a
second, please?
Second.
Second by Mr. Jesse.
Question.
Question on the motion. All in favor of the motion, please use the voting sign aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carried. Meeting adjourned for community development. Mr. Stewart will carry on with the finance. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Catch up with you after. Nice.
I'm getting up here.
He's fantastic for any kind of hiking, anything. And like they're my shoes every day.
That was my only hesitation with the.
And about the county and the school facility
Right.
that needs to be addressed.
I think we should do it.
And
That was great.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Finance Committee meeting for March the 29th, 2021. First item on the agenda is the approval of the regular finance meeting minutes for March 8th, 2021. Can I get a motion?
So moved, Mr.
Moved
Chairman.
by Mr. Baird,
second.
second by Mr. Jesse. Any discussion?
Question.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item number 2. This is just to get it on the floor. We've considered the matter of a moral claim, an ordinance authorizing the moral claim submitted by Melinda, is it pronounced Olympian, for damage to her property at 614 Garford Avenue in the amount of, that will be to be determined. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Jesse,
Second.
second by Ms. Davis. Director Brubaker, will you be handling it, or Mr. Firestein?
Law Director Deary.
Director Deary?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I would also note that Ms. Lippian is joining us via Zoom
Okay.
as well. For the committee, this matter involves a sewer issue. It was referred to the law director's office through safety service. The report from the wastewater pollution control plant indicates that on the incident date of October 7th, that the resident who lives at 614 Garford Ave was experiencing issues while plant personnel were cleaning city side sewers in that area. City crew responded. According to our wastewater crew, it was determined that the problems, namely the sewer backup, which caused significant damages to the property at 614 Garford Avenue, were caused or were likely caused by the vent stack on the residence being clogged or partially clogged, and also private property sewer lateral issues. Therefore, this claim was denied, and Ms. Lippian was advised that she could bring this matter before Finance Committee and ultimately full council to determine whether her moral claim should be granted. To our file, to be reimbursed in a total amount of $824.73. That's for the record. And if you have any further questions, I would be happy to answer them based on our file. But as I said, Ms. Lippian is here.
Sure. Okay. Ms. Lippian,
Yes,
how are you?
I'm well. How about you?
Good. So, for the record, can you please state your name and address?
Yes, my name is Melinda.
And then we'll
Oh, sorry.
that's okay, that's okay. And then we'll let you go ahead and we'll go over what you had submitted to the city.
Okay. My name is Melinda Lippian, and my address is 614 Garford Avenue, Illyria, Ohio, 44035.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. To the city, I submitted an itemized property damage claim form along with pictures of what had occurred. I also submitted a letter for an appeal where I did some research talking to other governmental sewer departments about how something like this could happen. Basically, my kids and I were home. Thank you, virtual learning. And October 7th, I saw the sewer trucks working outside, and my kids called me because they said they were hearing noises in the pipes. So I went down to the basement and I saw there was a little bit of sewage coming out. And I said, okay, well, I'll go talk to the guys in the sewage department because I knew they were cleaning out the sewers. And I told them, hey, just to let you know, we are having some sewage coming into our house. Please be careful with how much pressure you're putting into the pipes because I know that there are people flushing things that they're not supposed to be flushing. So if you do a little bit at a time, or maybe go from a different area, it'll be fine. And then as soon as I walked back into the house, let's just say that there was a geyser of sewage that was happening in my basement. My 5-year-old was freaking out because, of course, it's October. So my husband and I had introduced small clips of Ghostbusters. And my 5-year-old was screaming, saying that there's ghosts in the pipes. And I had sewage on my ceiling, on the walls, on my furnace, my water meter. I mean, I had sewage everywhere. And this being COVID, I had to get that out of the house since I have an 8-year-old, 5-year-old, and a 1.5-year-old. So I put on some gloves and mask and safety goggles, and I started bleaching everything. It was not my favorite day, to say the least. So that is what happened.
Okay. Mr. Corzine, I see that you're in the Zoom as well. Can you weigh in on the events that day?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. All I have is the notes that were sent to Director Brubaker, which Law Director Deary has, as far as the dates and what happened. As far as the main causes for those kinds of things happening, I mean, the following day we TV'd the city sewer to make sure that everything was okay in the city sewer. So that pretty much ruled out some of those causes. But typically the two main reasons why something like that happens is, especially since we have cleaned that sewer many, many times, and we haven't had any issues on that sewer like this. So that kind of narrows it down to the two main causes. Number one is if a tap is put in from the homeowner's side backwards, which most probably wasn't the problem, because again, we've cleaned the sewer many times and this hasn't happened. The other, based on probability, would be a partial or a complete plug in the vent pipes going through the roof. When we clean the sewers, the vent pipes allow the air and pressure to release through the vent pipes. If those are plugged, the pressure has nowhere else to go but up the drains and that inside the house. So again, just based on probability, that's kind of like what we were looking at, and that's what's included in the notes that were sent from our department.
Okay. Well, Ms. Lippian, I would like to, first of all, apologize for the event that you had and had to endure on the October the 7th. I'm sure that was not, like you had said, a pleasant situation that you were involved in. Does anybody have any questions in regards from the committee? Mr. Tolet.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Ms. Lippian, two questions I have for you. Have you had a sewer backup in the past? And number two, why do you believe that this one would be the city's responsibility? Thank you.
I have not had issues in the past. We've been in this house for about 5 years. I believe it's partially the city's responsibility, if not all, because I told the gentleman working on the crew outside that I was having issues, and after I had told them that I was having issues, they had made the situation worse. Where before I had a sprinkle or two of sewage. Actually, yeah, just a sprinkle or two of sewage where it was, it wasn't crazy. It wasn't a crazy amount at all. And then once I got back into the house after I had told them, hey, just to let you know this is happening, all of a sudden it was immensely worse. So I did give a forewarning to something was going on in my house. I also told them that there is an issue going on with water coming out of my toilet. But that sewage, I gave the city employees forewarning that there's something going on in my house. And they could have gone in from the other side and done something differently.
Mr. Tolet.
To continue the question on then, Mr. Corzine, if that stack pipe would be plugged, would that cause both the toilet and the floor drain to back up like that?
To you, Mr. Chair, it pretty much doesn't discriminate. The pressure is going to go where it's going to go, and it depends on the sizes of the pipes going to each fixture. So we can't predict whether the kitchen sink, the bathroom sink, the toilet, or what's going to erupt. Usually the toilet is the one that has the most probability, although floor drains in a basement being at the lowest level, it's going to come up that first. but it will also come up toilets at the same time. As far as when Mrs. Lippian was talking with the crew out in the street, I have no explanation for how that would have erupted even more. Because typically, once the crew are notified that an issue is going on, the first thing they do is power down the truck. So that should have released any pressure from the nozzle from the jet hose. So I have no explanation for that one. That's not one.
I told a younger gentleman that was happening, and I'm not sure if that younger gentleman told the older gentleman that was working on the site. So as soon as the big geyser happened, I went outside and I told the older gentleman, hey, this is what happened. And he looked shocked. So I'm not sure if the younger city employee that was working on site had informed the older gentleman.
Excuse me, Ms. Davis?
Through you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Corzine, you said that the stack pipe on top of the roof could have been clogged up. Is that what you're saying?
Just based on probability, that's one of the major causes for these things to happen, especially in an area where we've cleaned the sewer many, many times and we haven't had a problem. When we encounter this kind of situation, we don't know if the homeowners have their vent pipes checked afterwards. So what we do is we put the address on what we call a blow-up list. And anytime before a truck crew will start running a sewer, they check that list to make sure that there aren't any houses on that sewer. Because if there are, first of all, we notify them that we're going to be cleaning sewers. And second of all, they will use a lower pressure to clean the pipe with if we know that there are houses on that sewer that have that issue. But we've not had that issue on that street before. So again, based on probability, that's one of the biggest causes for these blowups, because there's no vent for the pressure to release through. It'll come up the drain.
Ms. Davis?
Through you, Mr. Chair. So did you suggest to the homeowner to have it checked out to see if it needed cleaning? Or are we just assuming that this could have been the problem?
Typically, the crews will make those recommendations to the homeowner. It says here in the notes in the letter to Mr. Brubaker, Director Brubaker, the homeowner was advised, I'm quoting, the homeowner was advised to also check her vent stacks on the top of her house for a possible blockage, which can also cause an issue like this to happen, unquote.
Go ahead, Ms. Davis.
Through you, Mr. Chair. So, Ms. Melinda, was that suggested to you to have your stack checked to see if was it clogged up?
So after I called him and I received, after I called him, I spoke with him and I asked, why did this happen? This is strange. And he said that it could be that there is something clogged up in your system. I'm assuming it's a stack pipe because this is what we're talking about right now. I think it was stack pipe. So he said that could have been a possibility. So it wasn't 100% that could have happened.
So, excuse me, through you, Chair, did you have it checked?
I have not gotten it checked yet. There's been a lot of stuff going on. And I do plan on getting it checked though, hopefully this summer, once things have calmed down at my residence.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Davis. Mr. Chairman. Mr. Baird.
Yeah, Ms. Lippian, your documentation and your pictures tell a story. I've never seen it quite so well documented on all these moral claims we've had over the years. Obviously, is a terrible scenario. Had the city not come down there, you probably wouldn't have had this. So I would recommend that we award a moral claim for this. I think that 3 little kids and you, and trying to clean that up and all, we owe you, as far as I'm concerned, and on a moral claim, I'd be willing to move that, please.
I would second that.
Thank you. Mr. Baird.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, you'll need to, just for the record, you'll need to suspend the rules depending on if you wish to award more than $500.
Sure. Mr. Oswald had a comment or a question, or no?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chair, if somebody just wants to give me this answer about how old is the house, and is it a ranch or is it two-story? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
It is a 1950s home and it's a 2-story colonial.
And do you have a bunch of trees in your area?
We had cut our trees down. There is a tree in the front yard, and before we moved in, I am not sure when, the pipe to the house was replaced.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to waive the council rules also to make the full award $800, whatever it is, $38, as opposed to just the $500.
I would second.
We have an amendment on the floor for the total amount of, if Law Director Derry can just confirm, it'd be $824.73.
That's correct, Chairman.
Thank you. So Mr. Baird makes a motion to award waive council rules and award $824.73. Can I get a motion by Mr. Baird, second by Mr. Tolet? Is there any further discussion? Question. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Ms. Lippian, this will come before full council. I believe that is the April 5th meeting. So we will contact you at that time for that meeting so you can be a part of that conversation, okay?
Great, thank you so very much.
Okay, thank you very much. Item number 3, we've considered the matter of demolition related costs, a resolution authorizing demolition costs for the properties at 125 Chestnut Street in the amount of $18,000 and 135 Parkview Court in the amount of $20,330. Can I get a motion?
So moved, Mr.
Moved by Mr. Baird.
Second.
Second by Ms. Davis. Safety Service Director Brubaker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is 2 houses that we had demolished, I believe, in late January, early February. 125 was right down the street here that sat up on the hill, and 135 Parkview was all the way at the end of Parkview Court, just past the police department. This is our standard procedure. When we demolish a property, we have the asbestos removal and the demolition costs tied to the property.
Very good. Any questions for Mr. Brubaker? Or further discussion?
Down here.
Oh, Mr. Oswald.
Through you, Mr. Chair, what's the odds of collecting anything on that money?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What's the odds of collecting any of this on that lien?
Mr. Brubaker.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Oswald, slim, because the property owners have either are deceased or have disappeared, or the property was going to eventually be taken in taxes. If the property is foreclosed on by either the state or the county, we typically lose our lien on it. We're doing this to protect ourselves in the event that we do have the ability to recoup any costs.
Through you, Mr. Chair, again, then who does that property refer to? Does that come the city's property at that time then? Or who does the property go to after this happens?
Mr. Chairman, through you, typically what will happen is we'll place the lien on the property. Somewhere in the future, the state can foreclose on it through state forfeiture, which means it eventually ends up in the county land bank. We will not take ownership of the property. Neither one of these properties, well, I shouldn't say neither one. 125 Chestnut is not a developable property for anything that we would have a city use for. 135 Parkview could potentially be of use to us. If you know where Parkview is, we own a number of properties down through there that we either acquired through the community block grant money, or through the county donating them. There was several mayors ago, there was talk about redeveloping that whole area. So we have accumulated some properties. We could accumulate this one, in the event that we ask for it to be foreclosed on.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Item number 4. We consider the matter of the Northern Ohio Violence Crime Consortium grant and ordinance authorizing the mayor to apply for and accept the said grant. The said grant is for Project Safe Neighborhoods. The total money is available are $140,000. Deadline to submit is April 16th, 2021. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Baird.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tolet. Chief Whiteley.
Good evening. We've been a member of the NOVCC for over 15 years. We have benefited over those times for a lot of grant dollars. The NOVCC does the work in applying for the grant. They run the grant. It is us and 7 other cities, and then like Kent State University and Akron University that the grant money goes to, and it's designed to help us work in different areas of high crime.
Very good. Any other discussion for the questions for the chief? If not, can I call for the question?
Hearing none, call the question.
Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you, Chief.
You got your back and forth here.
Item number 5, we would consider the matter of the permanent appropriation changes in ordinance authorizing the amendment of the 2021 permanent appropriation changes per the attached ordinances number 2021-50. Can I get a motion to get it on the floor?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Baird.
Second.
Second by Mr. Tolet. Mr. Farrell.
Thank you, Chairman. We found a mistake in the permanent, in the water fund, water pumping, and I need to adjust the salary and wages from 756 258 to 1630753.
Is it 756, John, or 766?
7-6 down here.
On the attachment, 766.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, 766 258 to 1630753.
Okay.
It's a big mistake.
Mr. Baird.
I'd move approval on this. I'll second.
Second by Mr. Tolet. Is there any further discussion?
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Baird.
I'm glad you found that. That's a bit of a typo.
Yeah, Mr. Jacob helped me out on that.
Yeah.
Mr. Jacob gets a data boy. All right.
Question.
Question's been called. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Hearing no further business to come before this committee.
Move we adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Moved by Mr. Baird.
One more.
Second by Mr. Jesse.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Have you seen those 2 houses on Garford? Where they've got all the far right signs?